Sup guys, King here bringing you a review, an anime review. So, Ren Zero. I finally got around to watching it a few days ago, and I pretty much spent 2 days just sitting up from like the night all the way to the morning watching like the first 10 episodes, and then waking up the next day and just watching the rest of it. And my god, what an anime. What an anime. It's one of the greatest animes I've seen today. No, but it's definitely one of the best this year. I will say that. Like, it's very rare for me to see something and enjoy the hell out of it, but this was definitely good, especially with the whole concept. So yeah, best way to describe Ren Zero is basically it's like a medieval / fantasy version of Edge of Tomorrow. If you've seen Edge of Tomorrow or you've read the manga that was inspired by it, then you get the initial idea what it is. I guess it's also sort of closer to the anime and manga of Erased as well, maybe, in terms of how there's a character that kind of travels back through time. It's basically like Groundhog's Day, but the difference is that this character dies and ends up having to go back and repeat that process of his life all over again until he gets it right. And that's kind of what it is. So you get a lot of definitely gory moments, obviously, where the character dies in many various ways until he gets it right and gets to move on and so forth until, you know, till the story comes to an end, I guess. It's also sort of video game inspired in a way, actually, because the character, you know, the character of Subaru is, I think, sort of, is basically a geek at heart. And yeah, me being a fellow gamer, I kind of like these kind of hints at it. I think there's a lot of animes like that, especially Sword Art Online. I've not seen that. I have not seen that anime. I have heard lots of mixed reactions to that, so I don't think I'm gonna be watching that anytime soon, but I would like to give a go at it. But I feel like this anime in particular does a decent job of maybe trying to be inspired by that, but doing its own thing, especially with the whole going back in time, dying, and having to fix that kind of problem in that aspect of it. In terms of story, if you're looking for an anime with a good story, I wouldn't say that this has anything good story-wise. The story is basically as it is. The dude wants to save, you know, this half-elf's life, who's called Amelia. He wants to save her life, and he has to constantly die until he can get the process right, in which regards he can save her. And that's really the gist of the story. At least at the halfway point, the plot does kind of move up in terms of like this whole section in this arc where we get introduced to all these other so-called princesses who can become queen of this land, right? But that plot line is sort of dropped and kind of goes under the rug and this other storyline kind of takes over it. So we don't really see a conclusion to that particular arc. It's just sort of an introduction. And yeah, one of my biggest problems with this anime in particular, and I think a lot of people have agreed and will have a problem with this, is the lack of unanswered questions. I mean, there's a lot of characters that aren't really developed well, and there's a lot of questions that aren't answered, especially regarding why Subaru has these gifts, has these abilities, and why he's being brought to this world, and who the jealous witch overall is, and who these villains and witch cultists are. So we don't really get an answer to that, which is a bloody shame, but that's the thing. This is an introduction. This is an introduction to an obvious bigger world. I mean, this has been adapted from a bunch of light novels, and as it stands now, I think the chances of seeing a season 2 are 50-50 again. Like, when it comes to these kind of animes, it's always 50-50 in regards of whether we're going to see a season 2 or not. But because these are based on light novels, and because these light novels, from what I've heard, are released monthly very quickly by the writer, there might be a chance that we will see a season 2 maybe next year, or at the end of next year, or the year after that. So, you know, don't lose hope. There might be a chance. And because this anime exploded in popularity the way like Attack on Titan sort of did, again, there's a chance we will see a season 2, especially with the lack of unanswered questions. I mean, this anime is mostly all about introduction and introducing all these characters and all these little subplots, so those definitely need answering, and I don't think people in particular are going to be happy about sitting down and reading a bloody book about it. You know, they'd rather see it happen. But yeah, does the anime stand on its own 2 feet? As a season 1, does it work? In terms of characters, I think this is one of the sort of better shows. Like, the characters in this are fun. They're fun, they get their developments, they got their negatives and their weaknesses, but they're fun. Subaru in particular is a very good main character. It's very rare to watch an anime like this where you can relate and enjoy the main character. I mean, this is a dude who goes through tons of psychological mental struggle with the constant, you know, him having to die and having to repeat the same day over and over again and wanting to save the people he loves, that he falls in love with anyway and becomes friends with. So it's a constant struggle, and one of my favorite, I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode, but it's definitely one of the better episodes that kind of illustrates this is episode 20, when he's having a discussion with one of the support characters called Rem, and they go through this whole discussion and him, you know, announcing his weaknesses and what kind of person he really is, and her trying to help him through his problems and showing him that he's actually helped her a lot, and he's helped a lot of other people as well, because in a way he's not a bad guy, he is a good guy at heart, he just doesn't know it. And I thought that was a very great scene in terms of developing his character. And yeah, for a show like this, it's very rare to see those kind of moments, so I really liked when it went down to that path. But yeah, Rem as a character, and especially Emilia, in terms of like the romances and the shipping, I ship Rem all day, all night long, man. Such a cute, such an innocent looking character with a decent good backstory, mind you. And sadly, yeah, Subaru doesn't end up with her. He wants to end up with Emilia, who I can understand. You know, when she's first introduced, she does come across as very nice and very caring. But then sort of halfway through, her character sort of just disappears and is replaced by Rem, because then she becomes kind of this character focus of where he wants to rescue her. So yeah, a lot is sort of lost in terms of screen time. And then you got all these other characters that are introduced and we don't get a lot with them, like Felt and Reinhard, I think, and they sort of disappear as well, which is a shame. But then you get introduced to these other characters who are great. You want to see more of them, and that's the thing with this anime. You want to see more of the world, and the sad thing is a lot of this world isn't really explained or shown. You just kind of get glimpses of it, especially with a lot of the characters. And that's the thing, you want to see more of it, and I appreciate that. I appreciate an anime, a story that makes me want to see more of that, but it's a shame that it doesn't go into more depth. In terms of action, it's good. When the action comes, it's good. Like, in particular, the action sequence between Elsa and Reinhard, I think in episode 3, that was terrific. And then my favourite one has to be the whole arc involving the White Whale. I mean, you've got this character, this support character, who gets his whole own episode all to himself regarding his backstory, and he's basically sort of the ape of the story, because like it's basically like Moby Dick. The White Whale represents Moby Dick, and he's Abraham, and he's trying to take this whale down with the help of all these other characters. And it's such a great sequence of him slicing, going, climbing up and down and slicing this whale to bits. Like, it's such a great action sequence. When it comes to the animation artwork, it's beautiful, it's terrific. There are some dodgy moments though regarding the CG sequences, so that's very noticeable at times, but as a whole, this is a very emotional anime. It's a very screwed up and emotional anime, especially when it comes to the villains. I mean, you get Elsa, who's sort of like your main villain in the first half, at least for a little bit, and then you get introduced maybe to some monsters and that evolves a little twist here and there for you to figure out. That's one of the things I like about this anime especially, is that certain things happen and they happen again, and you know, the way the camera is always focused on those certain little bits, it wants to make you realize what's going on. So I really like that, like, because there was this point like before the halfway point where something keeps happening to the main character and he can't figure out why he's dying constantly. I mean, what is it that's making him die? And in the end he realizes, oh, it's because of that little thing, and it was foreshadowed and hinted at before that. So I like that. I like that the little clues and elements are there. Especially now, what was I talking about? Yeah, villain wise, yeah, Beetlejuice, I'm just gonna call it Beetlejuice. That dude was insane. Like, one of the most insane fucked up characters I've ever had to witness in an anime. I mean, what the fuck? Like, and it is especially relates to Rem as well. Like, the amount of shit she goes through and constantly dies because of this prick. And in the end, Subaru still wants to be with Emilia. It's like, no, dude, you go with the girl who's been there holding her hand, helping you, and not with the one that kind of shuns you away until she ends up appreciating your effects. No, man, like, appreciate the one you got right now. You know, dance with the one that, like, appreciates you, yeah? But yeah, man, Beetlejuice, like, damn, fucked up character, what more can I say? Just demented. He kind of reminded me of the Joker at times, actually. But yeah, very demented character, very sadistic, which was fun to have actually, because like it got to the, well, before it got to the halfway point, this anime just kind of goes through the motions, and once it does get to the halfway point and the world sort of opens up and we get introduced to all these new characters, it gets a lot more exciting and a lot more better. But the disappointing factor is that it ends and you want to see more and you don't get more, and that's the tragic part about this anime. But yeah, as far as like first season impressions go, definitely a good introduction to the world of Re:Zero, and I definitely want to see more of it. I want to see more of the other characters that we didn't get to spend time with. I want to see more of Reinhardt. I want to see more of Feld. Julius was like great. Like I thought I was gonna hate this dude, but by the end he comes through and ends up being one of the better characters. Like, and I like those relationships where you're rivals and you end up becoming friends, especially with the other characters acknowledging your strength and acknowledging you as a friend. I like that, so I thought that was great, and I want to see more of these characters and their humor, and I want to see more ways of how Saburo can die. Like, that was just, it's fucked up, but it was fun. It kind of reminded me of Final Destination, because it's like, you know, how many ways can this dude die before he loses his mind completely? So, yeah, man. Yeah, definitely I would recommend watching Re:Zero. It's definitely one of the more unique, more interesting animes that we've gotten. And if you want to read the light novels, you might as well go ahead. I'll probably end up reading the light novels if we don't get a season 2, because god damn it, we need to see what happens next, man. I mean, come on, don't just leave us hanging. Like, that's such a shitty way to end it. Like, oh, that's what this whole story was about. It's like, no, that's not what the story was about. What happened to all these other characters? What happened to all those subplots? Like, dude, like, I hate when that happens. I hate it, but it's Attack on Titan all over again. That's what it is. But that's just kind of like, it just kind of shows up how good the series was in terms of getting you hooked. So it'll be great to see more of this in the future, hopefully. Anyway, guys, before I spill my wine any further, good God, so good. Yeah, as always, like and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts down below. Tell me what you think and let me know. And is there a manga to this actually? Because if there is and it's more ahead, I wouldn't mind reading that. And if it is just light novels, and if they're translated, I would actually appreciate if someone could send me links, maybe. Maybe I'll just buy it and read it, but like, it's so hard, it's so hard. I find it so hard to read books these days. Like, I used to read a lot, and now it's like, then again, maybe I just need a good story, and to be fair, this was a decent story. It's not really about story, it's more about the character journey. That's what I would say. So, you know, if you're looking for story, you're not going to get it here, but if you want to get good characters, good emotional characters, and good fucked up characters, and decent action, you're gonna get it here. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. Re:Zero, definitely worth the hype. Maybe not worth the whole hype. It is sort of overrated, but I think that's mostly contributed to the fact that it's a story that ends when there's clearly a lot more left to tell. So that's the downside, negative part of it. But overall, it's a decent start to what should be a more overall overreaching interesting story if we get the chance to explore more of it. So yeah, definitely give it a watch. And as I've already said, I'm repeating myself now, like and subscribe. Come on guys, come on. I'm not doing this just for well, I'm kind of doing this just for myself, but I'm also doing it for you people who I appreciate, who subscribe and log on and watch me do these reviews. I really do. It makes me feel loved and wanted. That was weird to say, ignore that last part. Take care guys, and I shall see you when I shall see you. Bye.